Okay, now's the time to let me know if you can't see the screen or can't see or can't hear me. Everybody's okay? All right, got some thumbs up there. Perfect. So one of the first things I wanted to tell you, in case you hadn't seen, I have updated the WAVwatch. So I have been working hard on that and did not know when it could be completed. So I haven't said a lot, but had mentioned it maybe a little bit. So we now have 1,000 frequency sets available. And basically those 150 extra frequencies are expansions on many files. There's a couple of new ideas. And some of the new ones would simply be the spike protein. I was able to find a frequency for that, and biofilm frequencies, and those are in the virus folder. And then I was able to find frequencies for the Solfeggio frequencies that we're going to be talking about today. And so it was just fun to kind of add to it and try to, improve on it. Some people were already overwhelmed with 850, but I think that you won't have to learn anything new. There's just more choices. So we are also including 2 wristbands, the traditional leather one that we have had for the longest time. And some of you do know that we've had a few problems with it because they made it differently. When I first made it 2.5 years ago, it was perfect. And then something changed. So we've had a little bit of problem. And so we have Velcro adjustable straps. So we'll be including both of those. And the leather band is really good now. And the Velcro adjustable strap may be a little bit more useful for some women or people who have really small wrists. It's a little bit more adjustable. I also was able to get it water resistant. Now, I can't say waterproof, and don't get that in your mind. Be careful of moisture still. Don't be washing dishes in it all the time and sprinkling your yard, and all that kind of stuff. So it is water resistant, which hopefully means that if somebody's, a sweater or, they have something dripping down their wrist, that we'll be able to have less problems with that because it now is water resistant. And then I have been able to add a 4th icon, and this will play a folder over and over and over again. So like people have made a playlist, and that's been a major question. How do I get the playlist to loop over and over? Well, previously, the original ones would loop one file. They would play one whole file one time and shut off, or play a complete folder once and then shut off. Anyway, there were just 3 different ways to do it. Now there's a 4th icon, and I do have a video of that in just a minute. And then we also have the availability. If you have a watch that has 850, 870 frequencies on it, you can order a new TF card. And so you just go to the website and click on the TF card, and you can order that. And so this is just me here. There may be a video on the website pretty soon, but you'll just get that TF card. And we're talking about, it's kind of similar to an SD card or a SIM card for your cell phone. So most people do know about that, I think. But basically, you'll just press this button right here, and then your TF card will pull out, and you've got just a little tiny card, which is hard to see, but you'll have this little tiny card, and you'll be able to exchange the new one and then just put it right back in the folder, put it in the hole and then snap it into place. It kind of makes a little clicking sound, and you just use your fingernail. So I've taken one out, and then I put it back in and adjusted it, that kind of thing. So I hope that was a little bit helpful there. See where we're at. So I put a TF card or an SD, a SIM card, same idea. Most of you know what that is from different tools that you use. So you can order a new TF our SD card to update it. And if you have an older one, I know I'm repeating, but we've had a few more people come on. And so if you have 850 or 870 frequencies, you can order a new TF card and it will update to 1,000 frequencies. Now, because it is a different version, it's not going to be water resistant, but that is available on a brand new one. And, anytime they update something and change something, I tried to look at Fitbit, I tried to look at Apple, some different ideas. It's a little hard to go from one version to the other and have that really smooth. So I wanted to offer $40 off to the first 1,000 purchasers that do order the new WAVwatch. And then, that kind of makes it about the same price as somebody who has a different version and they order the SD card. So very similar in price at that particular point in time. And then most of you have a discount that you can use if you need to. I'll flip to this here just a minute. See if it'll let me flip. Evidently, it's going to go to another slide, but there is a $100 discount. And if you bought the watch through somebody else, use their discount again. Or if you have not used a discount before, you can use sale 100 for a discount. So anyway, that would make the watch cost $457 for the brand new one. And the old ones were at $397. So I tried to kind of compensate in there for those people who had already purchased. All right, what I have up on the screen right now is a kind of a short demo of the 4 icons that are now available. There's no sound. I guess there is a sound. So that's the new icon right there at the bottom. So when it does not have a 1 in the center of that square, it will play through the whole playlist or the whole folder, that kind of thing, and loop and loop and loop as long as you allow it to, or until the batteries run out. So that was something that they had to work to get to do, but they were able to do that. So anyway, some choices can be made on your playlist now. So I hope you appreciate that effort. So here's the screen I was trying to get to. So again, for the first 1,000 orders, $40 off. Use your sale code. And again, if you can't find one and you don't know who you used before, you can still use sale 100, but try to give credit to the person that introduced you to the WAVwatch to start with. So that's just kind of an idea of some changes that I've had on my end. So at this point, I want to switch gears and tell you about a new addition to the WAVwatch that I have added. And boy, I really had fun. I have a lot of reading and studying that I have to do, and there's only so many frequencies I could put on, but I thought this was an interesting, the Solfeggio frequencies are very old frequencies. And I think more and more people have been hearing about them. So they are in the emotions folder. And this is just kind of a glimpse of them, just a little bit. So I didn't really know where this word came from. So I thought that was kind of interesting. So in music, the solfeggio, if I'm saying that correctly, or solfeggio, is an education method used to teach pitch and sight singing of Western music. Who would have known? The name is taken from 2 of the syllables, the sol and the fa, solfeggio. See how I have trouble once in a while? So anyway, the solfeggio frequencies. So these are what we're talking about today and where they came from and why they might be important to us. So what I learned was that these frequencies were from an ancient musical scale from like the 11th century, and a monk that put them together. And they were used for evidently, hundreds of years. but then they kind of died out or something happened. And these frequencies were, quote unquote, rediscovered in the 1970s by Dr. Joseph Paleo. And he said that a number of these tones can bring back healing and aid the body, bringing it back into balance also, and stimulate the brain so that they're deeply healing. So Mind Easy, I want to give credit. This is where I got this information from, mindeasy.com. I thought they did a great job in explaining it. So basically, these frequencies have been lost in time. Sounds kind of interesting, but the mystery gets just a little bit deeper. I'm always jumping here. Some say that this frequency was abandoned for a new musical scale, and others argue that it disappeared among political and religious turmoil in the Middle Ages. How do you like that? We always have that political and religious turmoil. It doesn't matter what era or time or century you are in, there's something that might be conspiracy ideas. So I hope I'm not saying this word too much, but I just couldn't believe it that there were even some who thought that these musical notes were downplayed, that there were biblical secrets and plots actually by the Roman Catholic Church. So I thought I should share that with you because that's just interesting to know. So whatever the cause, there were 6 key tones on this scale, and they were replaced by a 12-tone scale, which is what we use today. So I'm going to go back because I really jumped on some ideas, but I thought I was going back here. Looks like I went the wrong direction. So these were the original 6 notes that were on the scale that the monks used and that Sanskrit and India used. So they were actually used and connected with chakras. So these are the ideas that are connected to that particular frequency. So it's a 396 hertz, or the first chakra, but it's connected to liberate or liberation. So you free yourself from harmful feelings of guilt and fear. Then a second one, and I know you can read. I don't know whether to read them for you or just let you read along. 417 hertz was used to resolve, to produce positive energy. A few different ways to say that. And then another one was 528 hertz, and that was the love frequency for the 3rd chakra. Brings transformation and miracles into your life. The 4th note was 639 hertz. And it deals with connections, families and relationships and businesses, putting those all together. So you can see that each one of them is connected to your mind, body, and spirit and tries to harmonize things. So the 5th one was a 741 hertz. And this one is more self-expression, solving and cleansing. And then 852 hertz is awakening and the ability to see through illusions of your life, increases awareness and helps you return to your spiritual life. So those were the original 6 frequencies that were used in chants and toning in history for really hundreds of years by different ancient cultures, but they were especially tied together with the monks in the 11th century. Now, the person who discovered these again in the 1970s, another person added to some research, and they added 174 hertz, 285 hertz, and 763 hertz. So the same patterns that were used to research and to uncover those older frequencies, they actually, quote unquote, discovered or uncovered 3 more frequencies. So these are considered modern Solfeggio frequencies. So again, here's another way to list it. And this is all 9 of them together. So you can see that the hertz starts at the bottom and then goes to the top. Now, they're basically saying that these tones only need to be listened to for a few minutes a day for a de-stressing effect to take place. Very good for us to learn. That's a big question that people ask me. How long do I have to play them? You know, there isn't a right or a wrong. These are songs. You know, you can listen to a song all day long, but they have been able to see that you can have some de-stressing effects with just a few minutes a day. So pretty easy. And then this is another way that it was brought up. So these are these frequencies again. Another way to visualize and see those different frequencies again that are in the acoustical sound range. They're very low. They are very hard to hear. So we have these frequencies on the WAVwatch, and I didn't realize it until I started working on this PowerPoint today, but they alphabetized them for me when I plainly said, do not alphabetize, you know. So I was a little shocked here, but the order, if you want to mess with it a little bit, if you want to go up, the first one would be remove pain. And they have it, you know, in alphabetical order. So remove pain is the 174. The energy field is 285. Liberate guilt and fear is the 396 frequency. And facilitate change is the 417. Now, once in a while, I see 432 scooted in there. So we may have a couple questions about that. We also see 528. And it's for the love connection, connecting relationships. And that way, I thought I'd give you both of those charts if you actually wanted to order them that way. So they should not have been alphabetized. And I'm not sure, I'll have to get those alphabetized another time, or unalphabetized, I guess. So these are the exact frequencies on the WAVwatch, plus the Solfeggio 9. I actually put all of these frequencies together. So if you just wanted to play those, you could play those all together. Let me see. I see somebody had a question here, if I can figure out how to do it here.
Linda, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay.
I just couldn't figure out how to get to you. There you go.
I was looking at all these frequencies. And I don't know if anybody else noticed this, but if you take the numbers and kind of switch them around, they all have the same numbers, like the 396, 639, and the 417 is 741.
You got it, gal. We're going there.
You know,
look at you.
It's amazing.
Uh-huh.
Just wanted to add that in.
And isn't that so interesting? Because that's why I brought up the conspiracy type idea, you know, it sounds strange. We're talking about music and we're talking about scales and hertz and our words, you know, what we can sing, the frequency of the note that we can sing. They may have actually subdued them and tried to keep us from using them, you know, because they were the tones and the notes that would calm us and keep us and do all of these things. And they have that amazing ability to tie the 369, 693, you know, basically together. So lovely concept that you caught onto right away. Perfect, Marie. So I've already read this one, but it's worth just mentioning again, because a couple of you came in, you know, maybe just came in and saw this, but some of these notes were, they thought that that monks had been singing this for centuries. And then at some point in time around the 11th century, that there was a lot of political and religious turmoil in the Middle Ages, and the Solfeggio frequencies were basically non-existent. They were wiped out and people didn't use them anymore. They replaced them with 12 frequencies. And those are the frequencies that we still use today, but they are not as calming and easing on our bodies as the 6 and the 9 frequencies. So always interesting. We aren't the only people that have lived in turmoil, obviously. Now, this scale is so important. You know, we're talking about music and musicians, and I probably should have interviewed my own son and daughter-in-law today because they're musicians. They happen to be in Europe at this point in time, and they're singing. And you know where they sing at? They sing in cathedrals. How many of you have been on some of my PowerPoints or my information where I show cathedrals that they have now measured the frequencies that that cathedral actually is toned or tuned to? And so these frequencies are very soft, and they had to use our, modern day equipment, and they kept accelerating or making it just a little bit louder and recording, and then, kept recording it until we could virtually hear it with our own ears. And then they could identify, oh, this cathedral is reverberating and resonating at 528. So what could be better than a church that you go into and you are getting these frequencies for whatever the specific purpose was? So anyway, I didn't even think of it till just now. My son and daughter-in-law, Tammy, my son Jared and daughter-in-law, Tammy, do have an amazing video that they made in a church, and they're singing Amazing Grace. And right over them is a window from the church that, just what I'm talking about. Those windows were made with the frequencies. They are the exact image of a frequency when we visualize that frequency and see it. So I'll have to put that one up. I didn't even think about that. So again, we thought we were talking about simple musical scales when it was replaced. But at that point in time, now they are saying, and they're seeing, that our 12-tone scale today could possibly suppress our emotions, stifle our intuition, limit our consciousness. This is a big statement. It's even out of sync with our natural world and can influence fatigue, pain, stress, and disease. I just keep digging deeper into this, and it just amazes me more and more. But on the other hand, the scale that we've talked about and that Marie already saw, that was perfectly balanced with the numbers, quote unquote, of the universe, 369, it's consistent with those patterns, and it actually has significant healing abilities. Anybody having fun today or learning something? I just love to learn. So I hope you're with me here. Then the last thing, we repair emotional trauma. We can open up our spiritual consciousness, and even alter our DNA with this ancient scale. So it has far-reaching potential for all of us. So I was so thrilled to be able to get it on the WAVwatch. And I just want to remind you that if you are playing it on the WAVwatch, it won't make a sound hardly at all. You will not be able to hear it. Just like those churches in Europe, people were not aware that there was a sound going on. Okay. But your body is aware, because I have made, with new technology, the frequency so that they're going to be reverberating basically on your skin. And one cell will feel it. It'll feel those vibrations, and then it will start to vibrate. The next cell does. And I know I say the same thing over again, but it just, zips through your body at 4.3 times the speed of sound. So that's why it doesn't take very long. You do not have to sit and have it on all day long. Of course, you can choose one and loop it, or you can keep looping them all day long. It's your choice. These are some magnificent songs. And I guess I've already literally went over, very hard to hear. They're going to absorb the frequency from the WAVwatch. they can literally bring you back to the heavenly original tones of the heavenly spheres and put your body into balanced resonance. Now, this comes from the Solfeggio guide. And, I copied it, the first paragraph, cut and pasted that. Basically, they're saying you can either throw it away or you can use a scale to find healing, harmony, health, and well-being in your life. So when you're using the scale, don't forget, you're not going to be able to hear it. You're going to be able to feel it. So that is a question that a lot of people have called about. They'll say, I think my WAVwatch has quit. I can't hear it. Remember, a lot of the emotions you cannot hear. And I do put that in the booklet. It does say that. But, it's hard to pick out something when you're, worrying about your speaker maybe stop working. But if you, go outside of the emotions folder and play something else and, play 2 or 3, you'll hear a bing, bing. You'll hear different tones and you'll know that your speaker is still working. So again, just an emphasis, these frequencies are not going to hardly make a sound. Now, some people have really good hearing and they might be able to hear it easier than somebody else. So I don't maybe have a lot on these. So these are pretty cut and dried, but they these, just key ideas. They're specific tones, just one tone, and they're for a certain physical or mental response. They are related to the chakras. It was different civilizations at different times discovered the same ideas and the same tones. So one civilization might have called them chakras, and Gregorian chants, the monks, completely different time periods use the same frequencies. So they can work with a chakra meditation, very similar, the frequencies range from relieving pain to repairing DNA and rebuilding relationships. So, I'm always a thinker, talker, I guess you'd say, but if you know somebody that's had the jab, something in their arm, one of these on the DNA would be really good to possibly play. Now, I do have DNA, RNA repair in the detox segment on viral detox. There is RNA, DNA frequencies in there. And probably one of these frequencies is built into that, along with some other frequencies. And then also in the skin section, where it says restore, there is a restore RNA DNA. So, we're needing that today. We're needing lots of restoration. Don't forget that there's so many ways and reasons to use these frequencies. Now, this was another little tidbit that I thought was pretty fascinating. They resonate in harmony with the Schumann resonance. Now, our Earth is rotating, obviously. And well, I guess there's some controversy on that too. I'm just saying there is something called the Schumann resonance of about 7.5 to 8 hertz. And that is the resonance of the Earth. So what they're saying is that this scale is derived by starting at 8 hertz and working up the musical octave, up the octaves until the C note turns into 256. So people that are really mathematical can see how you can manipulate numbers and come up with these particular frequencies. Now, see on this one, the 432 hertz comes up, where other times it's a 417. So I'm a little bit confused on that particular one. Usually the 432 hertz is not included in the Solfeggio frequencies. But these are scientific tuning because they've done mathematical work, and it started with the resonance of the Earth. I'm not saying I am explaining that very good or that I understand it perfectly, but people who do a lot of work with music and tuning know this by heart. They just are doing their tuning. This is the person who kind of brought these mysteries to us. So Dr. Joseph Paleo, and this was in the 1970s, he looked at the Bible and he uncovered in Genesis a pattern of these 6 repeating codes around the sacred numbers of 3, 6, and 9. So Marie, look how far ahead you were. So these codes revealed sound frequencies which correspond to the 6 missing tones. Now, this is where he kind of jumped into thinking that these frequencies had been censored. And I'm sorry, by the Catholic Church in the 11th century. But there seemed to be some knowledge of it today. So he was writing a book and investigating and learning about these frequencies. And he was talking to a priest in Washington about this musical scale. And whatever the conversation was, Dr. Paleo became convinced that these frequencies were being purposely censored. Isn't that interesting? It kind of goes on and on. There are mysteries all around us. So he ended up writing this book, and he's calling it Healing Codes for the Biblical Apocalypse. So Dr. Paleo and then another gentleman who I quoted, Leonard Horowitz, worked together to write this book. And they found repetitions of single numbers in the book of Numbers, And so this is the examples of how they looked at it, how 396 was repeated over and over again. So fascinating, isn't it? We really don't know about our universe as much as we think. I always think that we could learn some more. I don't want to go too fast on that, but isn't that interesting? The third day in verse 28, final reference was in verse 78, to speaking on the 12th day. So anyway, when they reduce these numbers, you could see that reduction. Now, there's quite a bit more information on seeing numbers and working with numbers. So if you're a numbered person, you're probably going to jump in and see this right away. But other people, when you reduce the numbers down, it's a new concept to reducing those numbers down to the ones that we're seeing here. But this is what he came up with, and it works exactly with those frequencies. And then just to tie it all off, of course, Tesla has said, if you knew the magnificence of the numbers 3, 6, and 9, you would have the key to the universe. And so here's a drawing over here that ties everything together. And we just have to think and learn about, remember, we have 12 months, we have, seasons, everything comes back and is reduced, can be reduced to the numbers 3, 6, and 9. So on the WAVwatch, I was really proud to bring you these frequencies. Plus, the work of Tesla is tied in with this watch. He did some amazing work to start with on frequencies. And if you haven't heard my story, I hope I'm telling it correctly, but reports in, written articles are saying that Tesla was a best friend with Mark Twain. And at some point in time, he had put a vibration plate, for lack of a better word. I've never seen a picture of it, but he had put a vibration plate together. And that Mark Twain would come over and use his vibration plate, which was full of frequencies. And what frequency would you think would be on it? No verification of that. I'm just extrapolating that I'm sure that Tesla had 369 on that. And for all we know, he could have built in the frequencies that we're talking about because he was such a researcher. I do not know. There is not a report of what frequencies he used, but he did work with frequencies for taking care of your health. And this was right about the 1890s, 1900s, I believe, is what the numbers that I saw. But Mark Twain and Tesla, I would not have known that. So anyway, I'm kind of wrapping up some ideas, and I'm going to open this so that you can you know, jump in and share some ideas. Let me know what you think. So there you go. Oh, somebody asked how much the new chip costs. And the new chip is $60. And like I mentioned, all you have to do is just push in with your fingernail on this one, and then it will pop out, and then put the new one in. And will it work in all older models? I've had this for 2.5 years, and there was one model that the frequencies were labeled TRT instead of WAV. And if you happen to have a watch that has TRT on it, the new one will not work. But that would be a pretty old watch. So someone else I hope that answers the question on the new chip. And then also on the website, you might notice that we do have the ability to order screen protectors now, and we can send those to you. And I've had a couple people say my screen protector just broke. You know, I dropped it and it broke. And it's like, well, that's what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to break if it needs to, so that your original watch does not break. So you may have to replace that screen protector once in a while. That is definitely the ideas. Now, Glenda is asking, are these frequencies higher or lower than ours today? And the frequencies are all over the place. You know, they go from 20 to 20,000. So I'm not quite sure what you're asking. If the Solfeggio frequencies are higher or lower, they are the same. It depends on which ones we're using. You know, now the 12 frequencies were on the lower side and the higher side. Maybe that's what the question was there. So
okay, Linda. Yeah,
yes.
that's very interesting. And then I also heard that like in the 60s, they changed the frequency in music again. Was that
The
like with the
tuning.
Beatles ever?
Mhm.
Yeah, did they make those frequencies lower at that time?
I think they added, they started using them more, if I'm understanding. But again, I'm not a musician. So there is maybe somebody's a musician here today. Originally, everything was tuned to 432 hertz. And then I thought I saw it tied together after World War II. And it had a quote unquote negative connotation with Germany. Changing the frequency tuning to 444, which was not as good for our bodies. But I do not know that I understand that. So we need a musician to tell us about that. But you can see on the internet now that there's lots of information that they are saying that they are making songs now, or that this studio specializes in all the songs are 432 hertz. So that there is some concern about that and the tuning on the 444 hertz. But I'm not sure I understand all of that, except that, we're just not hitting the notes that we might think we are with that different tuning.
That's right. Okay, very interesting. And we're learning too how frequency, really can be used to control us, control our behavior. And that's what a lot of the chipping was about, all that sort of thing. So yeah, that's another thing to look into, I guess.
Yes. Now, I don't know seriously that they've discovered frequencies that, there is some negative connotation with the 444, and they're saying that they've measured rock music, and that, rock music is quote unquote very bad for us, very negative, or, that kind of thing. I am not sure that I understand that exactly, if somebody else does, because I still have the connotation that a audio frequency is not going to quote unquote harm us. But I may need to study on that a little bit more, because I would think that ancient cultures would have learned by now, oh, I can't sing this note, it's going to be harmful to my family. Oh, we can't ever speak in this tone. I'm not quite there yet on that. So somebody educate me on that, if they can really use negative frequencies that are acoustical. Now, of course, they can for the low tones or the high tones that are out of the range. The ultrasound ones or the ultra low ones are the ones that they are mostly manipulating. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm beginning to understand. So, yeah, quite interesting. And I think
Mhm.
too, probably these older tones are probably going to be more healing, and then they took those out. So, yeah, I'm glad you brought those to us. That's wonderful.
Glad
Linda,
you liked it. Yes.
on the new chip, the Solfeggio frequencies will be on that, right?
Yes. Mhm.
And then will that come with a new booklet or? how-
Yes, yes. Mhm. And my website designer is supposed to be adding a booklet so that you can get the booklet with the complete list of frequencies. And they're not just, just a list of them. Here's 150 frequencies. They're scattered throughout the book. So you would kind of have to read the book. But what I can say is that there's just a couple of more frequencies in the emotions. There's a whole new section that I added for arteries, thinking about all of the changes that have been made in our health. I keep pointing to this area,
Yeah.
a lot more blood clots and things like that, strokes. There's a lot more frequencies for nerve problems. I think one of the best things that the WAVwatch does is work with nerves. Because I've got a testimony from a lady who had Bell's palsy for 25 years. And while I had lunch with her in 30 minutes, her Bell's palsy went away. I've had somebody have tremors go away in an hour. I've had stroke improvement, And so many of the frequencies for nerves really seem to be helpful. So I expanded that. I found quite a few more with that for paralysis. I don't have any testimonies. It's brand new, but that's one that I definitely worked with. And then also I added, I found some frequencies for allergies. So I have food allergy frequencies and a pollen allergy frequency that I did not have before. And so those are expanded just a little bit. But a lot of them, again, I mentioned the spike protein. I mentioned the biofilm. That's pretty important that we're dealing with today. And then also I have previously had a frequency for RNA, DNA working with vaccinations. So that one is in there. Someone is saying, where do I find the TRT on the watch? So when you turn your watch on and you select a frequency, which would be, you can see it and it's a frequency because you'll see the music icon. So when you select that one, right there, it says dot wave. Mine says, chemtrail detox dot wave. If yours says chemtrail detox dot TRT, let me know, just if you can contact me and we'll see if we can work on that for you. I think it's just actually we could send it to to my customer service, and it's an update on the hardware rather than the software, and we'll see what he could do, or I'll work with you and we'll get you a different one. Because, I want everybody to have, the latest if you can do that. So we'll have you just buy a different a different SD card, TF card, whatever it is. And we will work with you to get that replaced if you need. But that would be a pretty old watch that has survived quite a while if you have the TRT on it. So. Did I get all the questions answered? Anybody have any testimonies or anything that they'd like to add? And the new wristbands, I can include them in, with the wristband and the TF card. I'm stuttering here, TF card, if needed. You just need to let me know if you need a new wristband. So I didn't have those earlier.
Hi, Linda. It's Shafia.
Hi,
And
Shafia.
I just want to tell you how much I appreciate your weekly Zooms, and I always learn some new nugget. And just thank you for your research and your ongoing work here. Thank you so much.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that input. So again, these are saved on Facebook, the private WAVwatch Frequency Fanatics, but pass them around, send them to somebody else or make some comments once in a while and let people know that we've got a new update. And I don't know if there's anything else to add to this. Does anybody have any questions or any other ideas that they want to share. I've had several testimonies and I didn't think about gathering them up. So I think I'll have the wristbands. I think I'll have those included in the TF card. We had talked about that and it didn't get up on the website. So if you order a TF card, you can get the wristband included in that price. If you absolutely don't, want to pay $60 for the TF card and just want a wristband, we'll have to work it out. I'll see if I can get something different put up so that you could just order that. And they'll probably be $6 or $8, something like that with some shipping. And don't forget, you can also, these are black wristbands and you can go to Best Buy and get a Fitbit 22mm. And it does say that in the booklet. You just look in the booklet under, questions, frequently asked questions, and it will tell you the size of the wristband that you could replace it with. Because some people want pink ones or some people want something completely different, and so it's still a black wristband. It is Velcro, and you're welcome. It'd be the same price to order a black one for me or to go to Best Buy and get a different one if that's of interest to you.
Linda,
Yes.
hi, it's Linda. Could you repeat the instructions to find out what version watch do you have? I didn't catch everything that you
Yes.
said.
And it's so hard to show on the screen here. Maybe I wonder if I can. Does it help if I make myself bigger? Is that what I need to do? There. Okay. So you have your watch, and so when you have it playing on this screen, a frequency screen, the song screen where it makes a sound, you can
Mhm.
see right here that it says .wave.
Mm-hmm.
And that tells you that is the latest version or that the new TF card would work in it. If it says .trt, then that's an older version. It's going to be about 2 years old, probably. That's an older version, and it would not work in it. So I don't think very many of you have those older versions, but that's what it is. Yes. Okay. I think Brad had a question.
Yes. Linda, on my WAVwatch, on the very screen, it's got the battery and it shows little white bars on the battery. And right beside that is something that's blue. And I was wondering, what is that? It's got little bars in it too. I can show
I'm
you.
not sure I'm following. Yeah, I'm not sure I'm following you. Where are you at?
See the battery at the very top of the page there?
Yes, that's just another indication for the battery. It just tells you about the battery also. I'm not quite sure how to phrase that, but that's all that is. And that does change when the battery wears down,
Well, when it gets low, then it'll turn to white or something?
The white bars will just go away completely
As it
when
goes
the
down.
battery's dead. Yeah.
I haven't reached that point yet, but thank you.
Yep. Anything else that you can think of today? It's kind of hard to show this. I'm sorry, I'm not. So I hope you enjoy my efforts. And again, they are supposed to be posting the complete, the new booklet. You can just, download the PDF to the new book for the new booklet and see exactly what it is. But there's 150 frequencies. So you'll make the choice of whether you want to update yours or not. Unless there's any other questions, I think we're wearing down.
I just want to say I very much appreciate all of your efforts.
Oh, thank you.
You're wonderful.
Thank you. I appreciate when you take the time to come on also, because sometimes I'm sure I'm boring. So anyway, except when I'm
one of those boring ones yet.
Oh, and I was about to say, except when I'm bringing up conspiracy theories from the 11th century, that one still blows me away. So anyway, but it could be very true today. That's what it sounds like to me. So anyway, we have to have fun, don't we? And somebody else, maybe I got everybody's information answered. Okay. All right. Have a great day, and we'll hopefully see some of you next week. Bye-bye.